It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today. I'm B-Ron. Alongside me is my co-host Yells. Good morning, man. How are you doing? Happy, what's it, Wednesday now?
Yeah. Hump day. Yeah, it's
Yeah, hump
Wednesday.
day. All the days are blending together, man. I swear. Swear.
Yeah, unless you're an alien at the mall in Florida. Look it up.
Yeah.
Look it
Yeah.
up.
I'm gonna have my hat to look that up, man. Well, look. You do your movie references. I might have a little bit of a song reference for this morning to start
I
the
don't think
show.
I have a song. Movie
I
references only
got
come to
one.
me when I hear particular words and my response to those
Yeah.
words. I think of a movie, like I think of a quote in a movie. So nobody's been playing along in the feed, so I quit. I give up. You gave up. I gave up. I'm not gonna be out here fighting for people that don't fight for me, man. I ain't doing it.
I understand. Well, I have a song reference for you this morning,
Let's do
man.
it.
I'm gonna change the words a little bit to
You
fit
can't
the
change.
scenario.
You can't
No,
change the words. Then how are we
no,
gonna get the reference?
you'll know it. Trust me, you'll know it. You'll know it. The winds keep coming and they don't stop coming.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
The
Hop
wind,
in the feed if y'all know what it is. It wasn't many
man.
words, so if you change the words, that makes it even more difficult. We'll see what they got in the
All
feed, man.
right, hang on.
Nope, nope.
Nope, nope. Hang on. Let's try this another way. Smash Mouth was right, man. The winds keep coming and they don't stop coming because Cascadia won again last night. You know what it is. Y'all know what it is. Trust me, y'all know what it is. Cascadia played against Bad Boys basketball last night, and they got they got their other win, man. They moved to what's that, 7-0 now. And look,
Jeez.
here's Kevon Jackson getting a little posterization going on there, and then Malcolm Chamberlain coming through with an alley oop slam, and Tyree Wells says, "Have another one on my end, sir." But again, Tyree Wells and company ended up coming out on top with the win against Bad Boys last night and stay undefeated 7-0 now with a 76-71 win over Bad Boys basketball.
Yeah, who's gonna stop him? That's the question I have. Who's gonna stop him? Tyree Wells went crazy this time. We've
Hmm.
been waiting on him to have a monster game, and it looks like he's
Yeah.
had himself one. 23
Yep.
points, 7 rebounds. Inserting his will over the team. It looks like they're starting to find their groove. It was all Kevon Jackson and Jason Holbrook showing up on the scene early in the season. Tyshawn McGrady went down with an injury. We saw Jetson Halliday step up the last few games, not so much
Yep.
today. Now we're seeing Daniel Irvin finally get going. He got 17 shot attempts up, 18 points. He was going to the rack and attacking and knocking down jumpers. Jason Holbrook continued to get on the glass. Kevon
Yep.
Jackson, the dunk god, only 11 points. They pulled it out. It wasn't an easy victory by any account, from what my
Yeah.
ears and my sources tell me. Samuel Big Shot Bogg tried to pull them back. Bogus
Yeah.
with 28. The Pagnotti Posse was going crazy with 21. They combined for, if we can do math, 49 points between the two of them.
Yep.
But Cascadia just has so much firepower, man. They're who wants to argue? Who wants to argue this morning? They're the best team in SimWorld Prep. Who wants to argue? Do it. Hop in the
Yeah,
chat.
no. I
Here,
agree
call in
100%.
to the show. Have something to say. All these lurkers around here. I want to hear y'all talking. Don't just be putting up the frowny face emoji or gifs. Use your words. Use your words. Come check us.
Yeah,
If they're not the best team in SimWorld Prep, come check us.
right. Who is? At this point, the record speaks for itself. At this point, they're the only undefeated team in Simo Prep. So by that logic, best team in the league, best team in the league, and it doesn't get any easier than that.
Glenn,
This team looked really strong. Yells. Uh, I don't even know if Beats of the East can beat them tonight. I really don't know. And if they do, again, we talked about travel the other day. They're in a back to back now, so this is their first taste of that back to back life, and we'll see how they respond to it. And if they do lose, that back to back, the travel could be a reason for it, but it depends on how the game goes too. So we'll see how it goes, but they look too good right now, too strong, too strong.
yeah, for sure. I was getting ready to try and look up the schedule. If you don't mind, maybe you could pull that up. But I don't know when they have. I mean, beside this Beast of the East game, where do we actually see some contention for them. You got the schedule in front of you.
Yeah.
Run down that list. Let's see.
Yeah.
Beast of the East could be a tough one. We know what they're all about. Defending champs. Heart of a champion, right?
Exactly.
Heart of a champion. So anything could happen tonight, but I don't like the matchup.
Anything could.
Anything
very well could happen tonight.
I don't like the matchup, though. Who's matching up with Tyree Wells if Coach Pope puts him on the perimeter?
You don't like the matchup for
Beast of the East.
Cascadia, Beast of the East. Okay,
for Beast of the East, I don't. There's particular. You could say Doc Ock or Isaiah James or any of that. He has actually a lot of good defenders out there on Beast of the East.
Yeah.
They could probably defend Daniel Irvin. Maybe they could get out on Jetson Holiday. I'm hearing Tyshawn McGrady may return. But on the inside, if you stop Jason Holbrook from getting on the glass, that's a lot of body you got to put on him. So then that opens Tyree Wells up. That opens up Q Dozier. I don't like the matchup at all. I haven't been able to be really high. I haven't been able to advocate for Beast of East the way I would like to so far this season. No hating there, Drayton. Your team has struggles this year. And there's some teams out there that are looking really good. Cascadia is looking like the best. What do they have on the schedule coming up, B-Ron?
Yeah. So after Beast of the East, they
call them
have
out this morning.
Yep, they have the Indy Stripes.
I got Cascadia. That's a win.
That's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, January 17th. So that's actually
Yeah, don't even go through the dates. Just go through the teams.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
so
when I think they see another loss.
Next is Lone Star.
They win that one.
Gulf Coast Lockdown.
Ooh. Is out there? Producers, I was on you yesterday. That better get. That's not a game of the week or televised. It doesn't get flexed in. You flex that one in. That is the game of the year so far. Then, right? It has to be
Tuesday, January 23rd. So yeah, there's still time for that one.
Yeah. All right. So easy money then. Yeah. That's the test where they may get that L. That's it.
And then they have two more in the month. They play the OGs.
Ooh.
With the OGs. That is, the 24th of January.
Some folks out there said that some of these teams are getting wins because of the strength or lack thereof of schedule. Now we might be hearing about it. Yeah, we'll see what's shaking. We'll see what's shaking.
And then the final game of the month, they'll play the AT Aliens.
Yeah, I think they walk away with that one. Too much firepower.
So they could potentially lose 2 games the rest in this month. They could.
And they'll still be a million games ahead of everyone else. That's math.
It's crazy, right? That's crazy. Oh, man. Well, look, we're excited to see how Cascadia keeps it rolling for sure. But speaking of a guy who kept it rolling, Jafet Towns did as well. He started off cold in that first half, but it didn't matter. Which, we'll get to it here in a moment because we got some clips from that game. And, starting off here in the first quarter, man, Coco
Bryce. Shout out Taylor.
Showing up, man. And here's Jafet Towns in the third quarter.
Oh, my
Step
God.
back, crossover, goal, see you later.
Oh, he gave him everything. He could have scored 3 other times on that basket. He decided to just give him a simple lay. Oh.
And fourth quarter, Dexter Jackson.
My man, Dexter Jackson
in the fourth. Eventually, though, game would go into overtime. And who else but to start sealing the deal with Jafet Towns?
Sheesh.
It was actually Jimmy King who iced the game, but Jafet Towns, that shot there was the start of them putting it away.
Man.
Jafet Towns came alive in the second half, and especially in overtime, scored 10 points in overtime, and ended up leading the reigning Trays to that 80-70 win over Southeast Select.
Yeah, incredible. I think Rick Blaze was on the call there with Siege, and he said the difference in some of these teams is having a closer. So, reigning Trays is not, their record's not going to blow anyone out of the water right now. They're battling back. I think they've won 2 or 3 straight.
Don't look now, though. They're 4 and 5. They're 4 and 5, though, yeah.
3 straight wins. You find your stride at the right time, and the stride they figured out is get Jafet Towns the ball in the second half and in key moments. 10 points in that OT. Oh my God! I mean, effortless. They're effortless. He's the player of the year to me. He's the player. We have a lot of
yells.
season left, but the way that he goes about it, they're impactful points. They're not empty. They're in the big moments. They're effortless. They're on the team's best defender. They're points that decide a game, and he gets them from anywhere on the court. He's not one-dimensional at all. Last night, that was 2 big threes he had to start off the overtime. Then he got to the rack. He even D'd up. We saw him playing full court press for a minute. I'm not going to say it was the delight of the night at all, but we saw him get after it on defense as well.
Yep.
He's just an impressive player, man. Just impressive.
And you know what's funny? Because I had the question here this morning for this spot was, should this kind of performance make people rethink their thoughts on what Player of the Year means?
People are stubborn, B-Ron.
Because you hear a lot of people talk about how Player of the Year is the best player on the best team, that kind of thing. But I feel like best player and Player of the Year and MVP are one of the same in terms of how you could describe them, how you can think about them. Jafet Towns is the most valuable player to his team. If he's not on this team, they don't have the record that they do, in my opinion. So for me, that would make him both the most valuable player and potential Player of the Year candidate for both of those reasons. For that reason.
Yeah, he's potential Player of the Year candidate because you take his 47.7 points that he's responsible for of his team's points off that team, they lose every game. You take his that was a percentage. You take his 326 total points responsible for off of that team. Where are they? You take his actual 27.4 points that he scores himself per game off of that team, they're losing. Yep. You take the, and here's the thing, it's not always what you do. I talk about this all the time. Hey, I talk about it with y'all. I'll put it on blast. It's not always what you do, it's when you do it. That best friend that's always there for you to pick you up from school, pick you up from work or whatever. People had this scenario. That's all cool. But that time when you really need him and he doesn't show up, that matters. Those people that come through in the impactful moments, that's times two. That's times two. When you show up in the big moments, and that's what Jafet Towns does on the court. He's not just giving you the buckets that keeps you in the game. He's not just orchestrating the offense. It's when you need them most. What we talked about from Trey Turner last season, what would happen in the fourth quarter when he'd have 2 points because Coach Lee decided to play him about 4.5 minutes and give him the ball twice. The fourth quarter, he'd get rolling and end the game with 24 points on stellar shooting. Jafet Towns is doing that along with carrying his team through the game.
Yep, exactly. I 100% right there with you, man. Right there with you. Jafet Towns is an amazing athlete, amazing basketball player, and he's doing his thing right now. Doing his thing. Look, let's keep it rolling, man. Almighty Soul and Richard Hennessy, 2 very different games from the two of them last night, and we'll get into that here shortly. Here's some of the highlights from that game last night. Almighty Soul starting up with him, backing down to the post and going right through his defender.
Shaq style. That's a beautiful pass right there. Look at the ball movement here. We haven't seen stuff like that all season from them. B-Run. Oh, big time block on Corey
Hennessy
Yams.
got a block there on Corey Yams, but coming back the other way. Right the other way here. And there's a block from Almighty Soul. He said, I don't like what you did to my teammates, so I'll give it right back to you.
The sun god.
And then here in the third quarter, they're at it again. This time, Almighty Soul catching a lob from Vincent Magic. And Almighty Soul and company have themselves a great game and pick up a impressive win over SimWorld Latin America, 70-53. This one was never in doubt, pretty much, in my opinion.
No, not at all. Not at all. And again, because in that first clip we saw, like I said, we could talk about Almighty Soul. We can talk about Richard Hennessy, but The story of this game was the fluidity of H-Town Hoopers and their ball movement. We haven't seen them play like that all season. All we've seen all season was dump it down to Corey Yams
Yep.
5,000 times in the game, force the double team, and then see what happens. Kick it out to shooters who weren't hitting shots. What I
Yeah.
did see last night was, there was some changes to the lineup. Johnny Hero started. Anthony Johnson started. Neither one of them just went crazy, but 5 threes in the game, 5 for 12, as opposed to like the last few games. I think they may have hit one total
one
in the last
for
3 games.
22 or whatever.
Yeah. So they had diversity in the offense where you had to
Right.
worry about one thing or another. So Almighty Saul did his thing. Corey Yams got off, did his 11-10 double-double. Vincent Magic got going, 4 boards, 7 assists. 10 points. He had a couple of highlight dunks. Those were really nasty.
Yeah.
Everybody was able to contribute. Johnny Hero, Anthony Johnson got on the board. Keith and Carter got a few minutes. They have an interesting collection of talent and like how you're supposed to play them all. I think some nights some kids play, other nights other ones don't. But the shooters got to be on the court, and they hit their shots. That was the story of the game. Almighty Saul, Corey Yams, we know what they can do. J-Mo, we know what he can do. He didn't really get a chance to showcase everything last night. Even he knocked down a 3. The ball movement and the knocking down shots was the key.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I like too about that one was we saw that they didn't have to force feed it to Corey Yams all game to get them going. But
No.
I want to turn the talk back to Almighty Soul and Richard Hennessy for a second because
Yeah.
with the way Soul's been playing lately, there's talk about him, possibly deserving to be higher up in the player rankings. And personally, I think he does deserve a bump up. How much of a bump? I don't know, but I think he should get a bump up for sure. And Richard Hennessy, on the other hand, I think, people can talk about, did he get exposed or was it just a bad game, that kind of thing. I think it was a bad matchup for him. He had to contend with Corey Yams, Harold Thompson, and Almighty Soul down there. You can be 7-2 all you want, but when you have, those 3 guys who will make it tough on you to get points, I feel like that's just a bad matchup for Hennessy. So that's what I think. I don't think he got exposed. I'm not ready to say that just yet. Because a few more games like that against lesser competition, okay, we can talk about it then. But I'm not ready to say it just now.
Well, we've seen Richard Hennessy. This is not our first season seeing him, so
Right, exactly. No, yeah.
I think for both of them, I'll go ahead and get my song reference in. This isn't a movie reference. I'll get my song reference in. In regard to Richard Hennessy, in regard to Almighty Saul, I say this to whoever can hop in the feed and know, whoever listens all the way through a SimWorld today, and here's it. When it comes to both of them, it ain't hard to tell. I excel, then prevail. I ain't even gonna finish the rest of that. It ain't hard to tell. Almighty Saul, nobody knew the hell he was coming into the season. Like, it's a pretty dope name. He'll be on the all name list. No, he's going to probably be on some all team list. The question is, who's the best player on H-Town Hoopers? For the sake of the H-Town Hoopers, they don't want to start the argument. They just want to say, let Corey Yams and Almighty Saul rock. For the media side, people always want to say, who's that guy? And Almighty Saul is looking like he can be the guy on that team. Obviously, everybody has to pull their own cart. So Corey Yams is, so important to that team. Well, Almighty Saul's talent level, you can look beyond SimWorld Prep and see what he may do in college and possibly in the pros now. Almighty Saul's that guy. So it ain't hard to tell. Richard Hennessy, this is season 2. Season 2, his numbers are looking pretty good so far this season. Let me pull them up. So far this season, he's averaging 15 and 7. Last season, I don't recall what they were, but they weren't those numbers.
They weren't that good. No.
And now he played a game against a quality big in Corey Yams and a team that has something to prove. It ain't hard to tell. He's just big. He's just big, and he has time, and he needs time. He's going to have to continue to work on his game. Most big men, you don't get to see what they truly are. They don't round into full shape until they're around 20, 22, 23 years old. They're third to fourth year in the pros if they get that opportunity. So at 17 in the prep league, no, he's nowhere near where he needs to be yet at all.
Exactly.
And it ain't hard to tell. So
that's exactly why I said it's just a bad game.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to say someone is quote unquote exposed at this level because everyone's still learning and growing. You're all going to be exposed in various ways, because you're not at your full potential yet. So
Yeah.
once you reach your full potential, then we'll kind of see really where your weaknesses are because you're weak in a lot of areas now because you're still growing into your game. But
Particularly
once you
big men. Particularly big
yes,
men. For
exactly.
those you're going to see them average 20 points, or not average. You're going to see them score 20 points and grab 15 rebounds one night. Another night, you may not even see them on the court. They're still figuring
Right.
out their body. They're still figuring things out. So big men, terribly inconsistent at this age. So I mean, I'm not shocked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, real quick, let's put a let's put this thing to bed here. We got one more thing to talk about real quick here. Rocky Mountain, they took another surprising loss last night to Run DMV. It was a rocky road for them. Justin Bell and company didn't have the best of games last night. Justin Bell himself, he put up 17 on his own, got 4 rebounds, had two assists. He had some help from Zane Davis, to come and do goal. They had help. Unfortunately, they ended up losing, 81-71. So, this is their fourth in a row now for them. And yeah, it's just not a good time for Rocky Mountain right now.
Seen this happen last year. They went through a slump.
Yeah.
Coach was frustrated. Team was frustrated. Coach stepped away. They went on a run. They started
Yeah.
looking like
Yeah.
the best team in SimWorld Prep again.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think it's just
And
a struggle.
go
If
ahead.
coach just sticks through it, the team sticks through it, they'll get it together. They have a lot of talent on the team. We
They
said it
absolutely
last
do.
season. It's almost the same team, except for they added more talent. They're one of the most talented teams in the league. All they got to do is just kind of weather the storm, fight through it, and just like BC East did last season, they had a rough early start, and then once they figured it out, they were pretty much unbeatable. Rocky Mountain will get it together. I'm not stressing. That is a terrible loss to Run DMV. Anybody that loses to Run DMV or Middle East, I'm judging you. Middle East, after that victory, we were just saying, oh my God, Middle East looks a lot better than, at least in that game, than what people give them credit for. But Run
Yeah.
DMV, that's wild. It's wild to get handled by Run DMV like that.
It is, and look, there's talk about how what's the biggest reason for this losing streak right now? Is it Coach Robinson, putting blame on the coach, or is it players missing because they did lose Ireland early, and he was a big part of their
It's
success
last season.
last season as well. No, yeah, but I think like you said, they're basically the same team from last season minus a few players. So I don't I don't think it's one or the other, be it Coach Robinson's fault or players that are no longer there because we can't blame them because they're not there anymore. That doesn't do them any good. I think, like you said, it's a rough patch. It's 4 in a row, sure, but they'll figure it out, I believe. And when it comes time to get to the race to one, I think we'll really see their talent show as we get closer to the race to one. Once everybody kind of settles into their game plans and stuff, it'll be all figured out. It'll be all good, and we'll see how it goes from there. Yeah. But all that being said, that's going to do it for today's episode, you all. Thank you for joining us today on SimWorld Today. We appreciate you as always. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for all of our SimWorld TV shows here. We have our games coming up later on tonight. And remember, you all, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.